This is a previously recorded episode of the ITintheD Show.
It's episode 143 of the ITintheD Show, and it is the week before Motor City Comic Con, Dave, and we have got the hookup.
Mother of God, do we have a full show tonight?
Thank you to our friends at CKC Agency. We have a full lineup. We got John E.L. Tenney here, the UFO paranormal guy. Ivy Doom Kitty will be calling in. Jason David Frank, the
Green Ranger.
Green Power Ranger will be calling in. Leah Thompson from Howard the Duck will be calling in.
And Casual Sex and some kind of wonderful.
And by the way, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Men. And Jordan Trovillion from Comics Continuum. This is a loaded show. Oh, by the way, we're talking about the Detroit Public Schools.
And by the way, here in the studio.
Right. We got a couple teachers in talking about the travesty going on in the Detroit Public Schools. Dave, you may fire when ready.
Following program is intended for mature audiences.
This is Max Headroom, and what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now, and remember, ITintheD, it works every time.
You're listening to the ITintheD Show.
Hi, it's Count Chocula, and you're listening to ITintheD. Whatever the hell that is.
Just where do you guys think you are? The Library of Congress? Detroit? Beyond the sun?
Any of those right?
Take him to Detroit. No, not Detroit. No, please. Anything but that. No.
I used to hang out at the Magumbo Bar. It was a rough place, the seediest dive on the wharf, populated with every reject and cutthroat from Bombay to Calcutta. It's worse than Detroit.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come. Shut up.
I dig you IT geeks. This is Dre DeMatteo from Sons of Anarchy. You are listening to ITintheD.
So what happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bunghole?
Exactly. Come on. Someone tries. What the hell with this? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to the ITintheD Show.
Hi, this is Ralph Macchio, and you're listening to ITintheD Show. Wax on, you know what.
Bob loves it in the can.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka. Sweep the leg. Listening to ITintheD Show. No mercy.
I may have to wipe the geek off.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, John Kreese from the Karate Kid movie. And you're listening to ITintheD.
Yes, Sensei!
Are we at a break yet?
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to ITintheD. All you nerds out there.
Nerds.
Nerds! What is a nerd?
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Pump Pump. The ITintheD Show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
You're in your underwear? I'm in my underwear. Hey, let's hang out.
No, I'm sorry, honey. I have a headache.
I definitely want to see Bob in his underwear. That's a fact.
That's why I like it in the can.
Which kind of scares the shit out of me. Shut up, Barry.
Hello, everybody. This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Men. I'm a techie. I'm a nerd, fellow podcaster. My favorite podcast is ITintheD.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
It's just too big. It's way too big.
We got screwed at the same time.
Yeah.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
We just lost our clean tag on iTunes.
This is Robert Hayes, the Ted Striker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo Bar, I'm listening to the ITintheD Show. It's worse than Detroit.
Is there such thing as a meat hangover?
I love my Monday meat steak.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the ITintheD Show. Tough guy. Ho!
My name is Michael Zapsik from AMC's Comic Book Man. You're listening to ITintheD.com.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do. The question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
It's Monday, May the 9th. and you are listening to the #1 and #2 ranked technology podcast on SoundCloud this week. This is the ITintheD show. We are broadcasting live here in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Ferndale, Michigan. This is Bob, the sales guy, hanging out with Dave the Geek. Jeremiah, Dr. Hook from Daily Detroit is in the house.
Nuri, the FNG, is allegedly off on business out
quote,
in
unquote,
Seattle.
Quote, unquote, Seattle.
Yeah, buys house in Detroit, goes to Seattle.
Find everything you need to know about us at ITintheD.com. Give us a like on the Facebook. Follow us on the Twitter. Shout out to Randy and Ian in Twitterland. They'll be filling you in with all of our guests and links to all the things we talk about. Speaking of guests, it is the week before Motor City Comic Con. Thank you to our friends at CKC Agency, probably the most awesomest PR agency in Detroit. They have loaded up our show.
They really have.
Like I've never seen before.
And this is going to be another episode like last week where it's going to be a little disjointed and bumping in and out with phone calls and interviews and that kind of stuff, so everybody bear with us. But I believe on the line we have Miss Leah Thompson.
Yes, you do indeed. How are you guys?
Oh, my goodness.
You have no idea how happy I am right now at all.
I have so many Howard the Duck questions to ask you. I don't know where to begin.
Oh, that's exciting. That's very exciting.
And click.
Wow. Are you kidding me? It's great. It's actually having a resurgence, I think, Howard the Duck, or having a surgence. It really never had a surgence.
It's more, I was going to say, it's more of a surgence.
It's having a resurgence or a surgence, exactly.
No, that's outstanding. I mean, and of course, everybody knows you from Back to the Future, and and when I was talking with CKC, I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you. I have very few things I want to talk to her about with regards to Back to the Future, but you were in one of my hands down favorite all time movies, and I'm sure you hear that line a million times. But Some Kind of Wonderful is amazing.
It's a good movie. It still holds up. The music's still cool. The hairdos are cool, for the most part, on the girls.
Well, and I guess that's honestly, so for you, I mean, and you have a very, very deep history. What's through your in your work? What is your favorite film?
I don't know. I mean,
I always love asking that question because you always get, it's like choosing your favorite child answer.
It is. It is.
Pick one.
Well, it's weird because I've had a lot of great parts, but it's really strange because as soon as I had a baby, I did so many movies. I read something about some actress saying, it was Gina Davis said when she turned 40, she stopped doing features. Well, when I turned 32, I didn't do a movie for 20 years. It was so weird, and I did movie after movie
you
after movie.
You are not that old. Shut up.
Yeah, it was crazy. And, it was crazy. So, I guess my favorite movie is probably Back to the Future because I had such a great part in it, and people love it so much. But I've done some obscure movies since then that I really loved, and I did love Some Kind of Wonderful. That's where I met my husband, and I'm still married, and I have 2 kids. So I really
cool
love that
story
movie
coming out of
too.
that movie.
And Red Dawn was super fun.
Now see, and what was your take on the remake? I'm curious.
I didn't love it so much, but I thought it was really interesting that how they shot in Detroit. I mean, that was really cool to watch and sad, too.
Well, it was kind of funny because we're like, oh my God, there's downtown, and then 2 minutes later they're in the woods, and I'm like, where the hell did they get so fast? There's no woods.
There's no woods in Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting because when we shot the original Red Dawn, we shot in a real town, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and the town didn't care. We blew up the middle of their streets and blew up buildings, and there was stores
amazing.
right there. I mean, no one cared. All the people who lived in the town were extras. It was the whole town was playing along. And I don't think it was quite the same in Detroit. What do you think?
Well, there was scene. I remember every backdrop they created looked like a little Korea down. Everybody took their cars and took pictures of the backdrop. and then 2 days later it's gone.
Well, yeah, because that's where we are. We're here in Metro Detroit, and I mean, so like
Right.
whenever they do when they did the filming for Red Dawn, the filming for Transformers, that kind of stuff. I mean, it is amazing to see what they manage to turn downtown into every time. Whether it's bombed out ruins or that doesn't take a whole lot of work in some cases.
I know, that's what's sad. That's no good at all.
Well, half of Batman v Superman was all done where our old studio was, so it was kind of fun seeing like, oh my God, there's our studio.
Yeah, there's the Batmobile, and oh look, Aquaman.
Right.
Where's the giant purple seahorse? So you're coming out for Motor City Comic Con, and you're here, I believe, all 3 days. Yes.
No, I'm just there Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. So, like, what are you looking forward to as far as, fan interaction, that kind of stuff? Like, what should fans be expecting you to have with you to be able to purchase, talk with you about, that sort of thing?
I have some really fun stuff. I have, like, the Swedish poster of Back to the Future, which is the only poster that I'm in, so I've copied that.
Really?
Yeah, it's really funny. It's Tillbaka from Titan or something like that. But one time I went to this guy's house, and he was the painter of all the posters. And he pulled out all these crazy posters of me that he had painted that he had them. He had copies of these posters that didn't make it or were other countries and had me on them. It was really sweet of him. So he gave me that poster. And so I have that, and I have some like Japanese Howard the Duck posters, and
want that one. I'm going to need to have one of those.
Totally want that one.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll be finding you.
I also have like the cover of Tales from the Crypt because some people remember Tales from the Crypt and like
absolutely.
That. It's definitely some weird stuff that no one else has.
Still have them all on VHS, every one of them. Literally.
Yeah,
totally.
Mine was only Sin Deep. I did it, and I had the age in it at the exact same time as I was doing Back to the Future 2. I was actually shooting Back to the Future 2 and doing the Tales from the Crypt. So I'd go out of one old age makeup and go into another old age makeup. It was horrible.
So I'm dying to. This is the totally perfect segue. Thank you for this question. Do you totally like go look at how good I look now, and you go to the makeup artist from back then? I did not look like this. Like, thank you. Like, look what you did to me. You made me look so old. Like, I look so good now. Does that ever come across ever?
No, I never do. I never do that. I mean, they tried to make me look a little fatter, but and my characters were so interesting. And, I don't know. People are younger now than they were then. Even then in the 80s, like, people got older faster than they do now. It's weird.
Well, they had kids in their 20s. Like, no, now we're having kids in our 40s. It's, I guess.
Yeah, I know. The whole thing about adolescence is just stretching on and on and on.
Well, yeah, but they say, one of the things that's actually disappearing from today's society is the grandparent. Because people are waiting longer and longer to have kids, and sometimes their own parents aren't around to, be there with the grandkids.
That's my theory about Bernie Sanders. Like, everybody wants a grandpa. They don't have a grandpa anymore. They want a really pissed off grandpa.
Oh, that is so good. That's the first time I've heard that. That is amazing.
Bob is so happy right now.
Not really.
No, I'm telling you, because my kid's grandpa was just like him, and he was the greatest guy. He was just like pissed off, and he said things in like really strong ways and like rawr. And I think there's a deep yearning for like a really pissed off grandpa in our society.
There's absolutely logic to that. I totally buy it.
The Clint Eastwood, what was the movie he did here? Like that.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Gran Torino.
Yeah. Like either it's a mix between Larry David and Gran Torino.
So you mentioned roles. I mean, so what are you working on these days?
I've been so busy. I know it might not seem like it, but I've had this show called Switched at Birth. It's on ABC Family, which is now called Freeform. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. And I've been doing that for 5 years, and that's really a hard show. And I also direct that. So I've been shooting that and directing that, and then directing a movie that my daughter wrote called The Year of Spectacular Men. And editing that, and then I just did a pilot called 4 Stars that's for CBS. I'm waiting to see if that gets picked up. And then I've just been doing these Comic-Cons and then other things, doing just singing, I'm busy all the time. I don't know how. It's kind of great. But it's really fun to do these, to go and do these Comic-Cons because it's like such a great way to like realize like hang out with people and realize the impact that you have and the impact you could have, and also just like to meet all these really cool people. I really enjoy that. Like, just, I don't know, just getting out of Hollywood is super great.
We always notice, you know, in Detroit, everybody's always super mellow, and they're so excited to see stars because we never get the chance to. And it's funny with Comic-Con, you get two sides. You get some people that come out, they're so happy to be there, and they're excited to talk to everyone. Then you have some that are like, it's the worst day of their lives, and we can't quite get that. If people came up and recognized us and said, oh my God, you're amazing, how could I be in a bad mood? And it's funny to see that.
A little freaked out, maybe, but not in a bad mood.
Right, exactly. Oh my God, you recognize me? Like, right. But
you mean some of the celebrities are like,
oh, totally. Oh, yeah. Totally. Every year. There's always like two that just, you know, the worst day of their lives. And it's like, well, you know, what do you expect coming out here? So, I mean, you know, everybody's always kind of genuine. You might get a couple goofy questions, right? But, you know, that know way too much about you, and you're like, oh my God, I'm scared. but for the
I'm
most
sure that's
part,
every con.
Right, exactly.
there's that guy at every
in
con.
1986, you were in this.
Well, it's weird because I feel like I've been doing these longer than a lot of other people. Like, they really have caught on. So as they kind of catch on, there's more and more actors that are doing them. And I feel like I've been doing them for a while, kind of off and on for like 10 years with Chris Lloyd usually. And, you know, so I'm always amazed when people are like you're saying, like miserable. I'm like, dude, you know, I mean, these are like great people. These are iconoclasts. These are people who like really dig something that, you know, not everybody digs. And I love that, you know, about the people that I meet.
Well, and that's like us. I mean, our whole thing, like, we go to Comic-Cons and we never care about, like, the big names that they bring in. Like, last year it was William Shatner or, you know, like Stanley. Those. No, like, our goal at every single one of these is to meet all of the people from the movies in the 80s that we loved, and then buy them drinks. That's cards on table. Billy Zabka, you know, Johnny Lawrence from the Karate Kid, loves us. In fact, he hunted us down last year to find out where we were going to be. I mean, that's our whole thing, is like, we just love that level of interaction, just being able to sit down and, like, you know, have, you know, hear stories and just talk about that kind of stuff. It's fascinating. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a unique experience for sure. It's also really tiring because you
have to be on.
You want to give your all to these people, and you only have like a minute or two to do it, you know, so you want to really be sincere.
Well, and that's got to be exhausting. I mean, because, I mean, you do. I mean, you've basically got to be on for 2 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like a couple years ago at one of the cons, we met Claudia Wells for the very first time, and she was awesome. And all of a sudden she's like, I'm Marty McFly's girlfriend. I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't that Leah Thompson? I go, oh wait, crap, that was his mom. I'm like, total Star Wars moment there. I'm like, I don't know why it was embedded in my head that you were his girlfriend. I don't know how many other people had get that mistake.
Well, during that flashback sequence,
totally, yeah,
exactly. Mr. McFly, pay no attention to the fact that your son looks exactly like the guy that your wife fooled around with back in high school. Pay no attention to that fact.
Right, no.
Yeah, well, you know, time travel movies always have to have a few holes in them.
Right, exactly.
Well, hey, I know you've got other stuff going on tonight. I do so much appreciate your time hopping on with us. And again, so you're here Saturday and Sunday. And
yes.
And you'll have all sorts of stuff to talk to people about, stuff that people can buy, stuff that people can ask you. Yeah. Anything else you want to pop out?
No, I think that there's going to be some Q&As, so come hear me talk about whatever you want me to talk about. Howard the Duck, Dancing with the Stars, Back to the Future,
Andrew Dice Clay and Casual Sex,
Some Kind of Wonderful, Caroline in the City. You never know. I have fans from
I totally forgot about that show.
Yeah, I just won't go away. I'm kind of like one of those zombies.
You missed Dave saying about Andrew Dice Clay and Casual Sex. You know.
That's right. He was so great in Vinyl. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know. Have you seen the Dice Show on Showtime? It's amazing.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, so, you know, I'm one of those people, you just stare at me long enough and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that movie. Oh, yeah.
No, you're iconic. The other people are like that.
No, I assure you. I had like 6 movies off the top of my head that I knew that you were from.
Exactly.
Well, I'm really excited to go to Detroit. I played, I can't remember, in the big Art Deco building, there's a theater.
Oh, the Masonic?
Downtown. Yeah, I played Cabaret there for like a month.
Oh.
Yeah.
It might have been Gem.
Oh, it might have been the Gem Theater, yeah.
It's in this big, tall, beautiful Art Deco building downtown.
I was just saying the Fisher.
It's really cool.
Oh, the Fisher, yeah.
Yeah. So I love Detroit. I'm really looking forward to going back there, and I hope I meet you guys.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you.
Just
Okay,
to
cool.
clarify before you go off the air, my daughters and I are huge Switch at Birth fans, and we were afraid the show was canceled, but you're saying the show is continuing on under a new name?
No, it is canceled, but we have 10 more shows that are going to air next January.
Well, that's 10 more great shows that we get to watch. Thanks for that.
10 great shows, one of which I directed. I got to direct the 100th episode. So, yeah, and it's a really nice, because in some ways it's nice that they canceled us because we get to wrap it up. So there's no cliffhanger. They will wrap it up.
Okay.
So that's good.
Awesome.
Cool.
Leah, I can't tell you how awesome it is to talk to you. I very much look forward to meeting you at Motor City Comic Con, and hope you enjoy your stay in Detroit.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. It's great to talk to you guys. Take care.
Likewise, enjoy your night.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen.
I think we already have another call.
How do we?
It's gonna be that kind of night. I'm assuming this is John E.L. Tenney.
This is.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Good. It's original to see a 248 number calling in when it's a guest.
Royal Oak, born and raised.
Yeah, my friend Maureen Feudy was saying that she's known you for a long, long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So hey, you are the guy apparently when it comes to paranormal, UFOs, unexplained phenomena, that sort of stuff. So what should people expect out of you at Motor City Comic Con?
Well, first of all, they can expect someone who's actually interested to hear all their weird stories.
Oh, we've got weird stories.
Yeah, I love when people come up and just, because, with paranormal stuff, most people don't ever want to, say it out loud, because then you obviously look like you have three eyes, because you might have talked to someone who has three eyes.
Right.
But
or just open yourself up to ridicule in general, yeah.
Exactly. So, my job is to collect weird stories and weird information and try and figure out what's going on. So I actually love to sit and listen to people. And a lot of times at Comic-Con, I've gone to Comic-Con ever since I was as far back as I can remember. There used to be a little comic book convention at 12 Mile and Rochester Road in Royal Oak that my dad would take me to for, 75-cent entrance fee. But
it's a little more expensive these days.
What was that?
I said it's a little more expensive these days.
It's a little bit more expensive, just slightly more. But also, there's a lot larger guests than there were in, what's funny is some of the guests that show up at Comic-Con now, and I think back from being this little kid with holding my comic books waiting for them to get signed, it's really crazy that some of those artists, I can still go back and get their autographs 20 years later, 25 years later. But yeah, it's great because a lot of times at Comic-Con, it can at some points, be a little bit strange walking up to a table and trying to make eye contact or talk to someone that's at the table. But I love talking to people about strange stuff. I won't tell you the whole story now, but one of the stories that I'll tell back to people who come up to me is I think earlier this year in Michigan, I saw an elf.
That might have been Rick Snyder. He's kind of short.
But he's not that cool.
Was it a TBS on Christmas time with Will Ferrell?
Was it the Nain Rouge? Was that?
Speaking of weird stuff, my 10-year-old daughter springs this one on me today. She goes, "Dad, have you ever heard of the Michigan Dog Man?" And I go, "No, I never heard of it." She goes, "But that's all we're talking about in school now." And I started Googling it, and I go, "This is a thing? Do you know anything about this, and what the hell is it?"
Yep, the first weekend in August, I will actually be in Defiance, Ohio, and we're holding the very first International Dogman Symposium.
What? No, correct me if I'm wrong. I was Googling it, and I go, it's just a bear standing on its hind legs. Now, what's this? What's the story behind it? Obviously you know about it.
Yep, absolutely. So all around Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana are reports of an upright walking canine that tends to look, people will sometimes describe it as a werewolf. But usually when it is seen close up, it looks to be a very large wolf that walks on its hind legs. And originally people thought that the legend of it kind of started in Michigan during an April Fool's Day joke. This guy played a song called The Legend of the Dog Man on April Fool's Day that he had written. But what happened is people started calling into the station saying oh, I thought I was the only one that ever saw this. And we didn't know in Michigan at the time, it was proto-internet, and no internet at that time in the 70s. But all in Wisconsin, there were all of these legends about this thing called the Beast of Bray Road, which was this giant upright walking dog that people had seen for hundreds of years, including the Native Americans that lived here.
Huh, craziness. And then, Dave brought up the other thing with Nain Rouge. I mean, we got introduced to that not even 4 years ago, if not sooner than that.
It was about 2.5 years ago on our show.
Yeah, and that thing brings out thousands of people. I mean, obviously I guess you tell me what's. I know the story of it is one of the settlers saw a little red dwarf thing running around, and then this became like an iconic Detroit thing.
Yeah, you guys actually have stumbled into a very controversial topic with me. I am part of a group that actually protest the Nain Rouge parade in Detroit. If you can imagine that. I am a friend of the Little Red Nain Rouge. The original story behind the Nain Rouge that most people know about and read is that when the European settlers came here, there were people warned that there was this little red imp that would run around in Michigan or in Detroit area and cause problems. And so now it's kind of been turned into this thing that we have a little demon in Detroit that causes mischief. And so every year they have this parade to drive him out of the city. But the original actual legends of the First Nations people who lived here is they had a guardian protector spirit that was a little red rabbit. And it would show up whenever there was going to be trouble. So it wasn't actually causing problems. It was supposed to be warning people of problems. So every year I go to the parade with a group of my fellow Nain Rouge, supporters, and we try and inform people that he's here to protect our city and we should have a big parade in honor of him, not trying to drive him out of the city.
So you're the guy in Germany saying Krampus was a good guy, not he doesn't steal your children.
Exactly.
So, I mean, are you on panels? I mean, what else are you, what are you here talking about at Comic-Con?
Yep, I don't know right now which panels I'm hosting, but the panel that I'm going to be doing, obviously this year we had the X-Files return to television, and at the event we'll be having the actors who played Skinner and Cigarette Smoking Man at Comic-Con. But my lecture specifically will be about the reality between what it's like to be an actual kind of X-Files researcher and what the X-Files actually is. So we'll talk about, what they show on television and what it's actually like to talk to UFO abductees and have to deal with the government, all stuff that I do on a pretty daily basis.
Now, that was a thing I just started reading about, like the real stories of the Men in Black. I mean, if that doesn't send a shiver up your spine, I don't know what does. I mean, have you read up on that stuff as well?
Yep, absolutely. The real stories of the Men in Black was probably, if you were reading that specific name of that book, is by a guy named Nick Redfern, who's a good friend of mine. And, but yeah, I mean, it's the high strangeness that surrounds all paranormal phenomena, whether it be Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra, Mothman, Dogman, Goatman, UFOs, I mean, elves, whatever high strangeness is going on. A lot of the stories and the reality behind them are actually a lot scarier. And stuff with like the Men in Black, whether they be some kind of alien race that's trying to monitor us or the government that's trying to kind of shut people up about UFOs, it gets really, I mean, obviously it's wonky. I love it. It makes my whole job super exciting. But sometimes it gets really, really scary. I mean, the kids in my neighborhood, I don't know if they're screwing around with me or what, but every now and then they'll tell me, oh, we saw men walking around your house last night in suits. Or there's a little kid who lives down the street from me that constantly says he sees someone standing on my roof. So it gets slightly strange when you're in this field for as long as I am.
Well, the Men in Black thing freaked me out because I'm like, if I see two guys 6'4", pale skin, no eyebrows, like black eyes walking in somewhere with like a creepy walk, I'm running. I'm out. Yeah, exactly. I got bad knees, but I'm running. I don't care.
For sure, and back in the day, and this is kind of a thing that's changed, but back in the day when Men in Black were first seen, like you said, they were kind of human looking, and a lot of people thought that they were actually like human form robots like Data because of their pale skin.
So
and
not Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones?
Weird halting robot speech.
Yeah, say not Will Smith.
Not Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones?
Right. Yeah, they weren't rapping and, very endearing.
So the panel, are you there all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all weekend.
I was gonna say we're set up in the back by the media guests. We'll probably be right around the corner from you.
Very cool.
Would love to sit down and have get a little bit of an extended interview and talk more about this. I'm fascinated by this stuff. I still think Bigfoot's real. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm right there with you. Bigfoot is absolutely real. As a matter of fact, really quickly, if I may, at my lectures, I ask people how many people here believe in ghosts, and usually 90% of the people raise their hands. I'll say how many people here believe in UFOs, and 90% people will raise their hands. I'll say how many people here believe in Bigfoot. Like 10 guys will raise their hands, and everybody will laugh at them. And then I'll point out that the majority of people believe that there's a consciousness that exists somewhere after a biological death in some unexperienced realm that we have no proof of. There's a large group of people who believe that, life has arisen on a planet and discovered us in the inky void of the cosmos. But almost everybody seems to think that a large undiscovered animal is completely unbelievable.
See, now, you know what I think it is? This is my theory, and tell me if I'm stupid or not, but I think it's Gigantolopithecus.
You're stupid.
Which is, they when the cavemen died out, a couple, a few of them remained.
We know what it is. It's Chewie.
It's not, from the comic book.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that What If Star Wars?
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when I saw that last panel, I was like, that is the best thing I've ever seen.
We talked about it a couple years ago on the show when that came out. We were fascinated by it. We're like,
why isn't that a movie?
Yeah, I know, right? Han Solo gets killed by whatever the Native Americans, and then Indiana Jones
finds him. Yeah,
I'd watch it in a heartbeat.
Oh my God, yes! I'm surprised somebody hasn't funded it yet. Well, Disney, get on it if you're listening. I know they're listening. They're not listening.
They're not listening. They listen to Magic Mike's show, not ours.
Right, exactly. Hey, John, we're at the bottom of the hour, John. Would love to see you at Comic-Con. I could talk to you about this stuff till the cows came home, but we got a short show. We got packed with guests, so we appreciate your time spent with us. Look forward to meeting you at Motor City Comic-Con and spend more time with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Well, and Ghost Stalkers is on currently, yes, on Destination America?
Yep, Ghost Stalkers is on Destination America right now, and I do a guest appearance on another show on Destination America called Paranormal Lockdown. So all people have to do is search that, and they'll find it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we'll throw links in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we shot a tweet out with your info on it, so anyone that wants to follow you, just go to ITintheD on Twitter, and they can find you. And appreciate the time spent with you, and look forward to seeing you this upcoming weekend.
Yep, very cool. Thanks, guys. Keep up the weirdness.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Johnny L. Tenney, paranormal. Seriously, I'm fascinated by that stuff.
Oh, that's so my world. Like I said, back in the sci-fi fantasy forum, CompuServe days, the mysteries and unexplained phenomena, I spent way too much time talking with the MUFON, abductees and all that.
Read
kind
up
of
on
stuff.
that Real Men in Black stuff. That stuff creeped the hell out of me.
Read, yeah.
All right, fine. Never mind. I can't one up you on anything.
That's you know me. When I can't skim the surface. That is what it is.
Chupacabra, man. Hey, we're going to try to go up against a quick break. This is a crazy show. We
do have another call that's supposed to be coming in any minute now. We'll see how that goes.
And we got a couple teachers in studio who want to talk about that mess at DPS. We'll see if we can even get to that. This is the IT in the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit, one beer at a time.
Hey, this is John Schneider from Nip Tuck Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. Oh, Dr. Quinn, Hot in Cleveland, Secret Lives of the American Teenager, and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. You're listening to Bob and Dave. See IT in the D show.
ITintheD.com. This is a previously recorded episode of the IT in the D show.
Welcome back. This is segment 2, episode 143, the pre-Motor City Comic-Con edition of the IT in the D show.
In case you couldn't notice.
No kidding. We're broadcasting live. Podcast Detroit, beautiful Ferndale, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy here with Dave the Geek, and Jeremiah Dr. Hook from Daily Detroit is in the house. Find everything you need to know about us online, ITintheD.com. Find our app on Apple or Android, and we are now on Google Play. It actually works on Android in the app. On the phone, it was working online. I don't give me that slow clap. So you can pretty much find us anywhere fine podcasts are sold. Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, which we are the #1 rated technology podcast on SoundCloud.
Congratulations.
This week. But hey, this show is brought to you this week by Igloo. Igloo is a toy we've been playing with. It's an intranet you'll actually like. We use so many different tools and email so many different things back and forth that Igloo actually gets everything on a single cloud platform, helps us share files, collaborate on documents, blog updates, calendars, projects. Anyone can add content based on their permissions or drag and drop widgets. There's a variety. What's a widget? There's a variety of access authentication. So, like, if me and Dave want to see stuff and we don't want to share with Jeremiah, we don't have to. Only authorized users have access. Private clouds, SSL, and Nuri's favorite, 256-bit encryption, so you know your data is secure. Unlike other solutions, you can customize Igloo to fit your needs, work with your current IT investments, Office 365, Salesforce, SharePoint, Active Directory, file sharing solutions like Google Drive and Dropbox. You can even add Zendesk to keep track all of your support tickets. It's used by large and small companies. Try it now for free. igloosoftware.com/Detroit. That's Igloo, IGLOO, software.com/Detroit. And I believe under 10 users, it's free to use. So we haven't gotten a bill yet, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're all in favor of that.
No, but honestly, it's a great tool. Check them out. We appreciate the support.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, we are awaiting another call, but while we're in limbo there, let's go ahead and dive in with the whole DPS fun and excitement.
If you don't know that, Detroit Public Schools, and if you haven't been following track of the news, it's been everywhere. It's almost as bad as the Flint situation going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those of you not in the area, Detroit Public Schools, there was a strike that went on last week, or a sick out, however you want to phrase it.
No, because sick out implies sick days equal paid time off. And when there is no pay...
Then there's no way.
Right.
The term lockout, was it?
Lockout. That was the union term.
Well, and so that's the thing that I thought was interesting, just based on your post and our conversation, and then, Jared picked up and ran it on Daily Detroit. There's a whole side of this that the media, go figure, wasn't really telling or getting out there. So from a teacher's point of view, WTF? Like, what's going on?
It's such a big and involved issue, and it's hard to really just kind of break it down because this is something that has been years, really probably decades at this point in the making. And the post of mine that gained some popularity was on the first day that we were locked out or not going to work because we were told we would not be paid. And I pointed out that the money that we were really upset about, there's money that we've already earned that they were talking about they were not going to pay us. It wasn't just a deal like, oh, don't come in tomorrow because we don't have money to pay you tomorrow. There's money that we've already earned.
That's the thing that I don't think that people really understood is, so, teachers have the option of getting paid just throughout the school year, or spreading their checks out throughout the entire year, including the summer.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's not like you're getting paid to be on summer break.
Right.
That's your pay.
Right.
That's how that's supposed to work.
Exactly.
And basically they said, as of April 28th, there's no more money for anything, including the stuff that should have already been back paid.
Escrow,
and
Right. That was what they were saying. And, that was a big part of the fury. And even if that wasn't the case, I mean, stopping a school year dead in its track and putting us in the position of like, well, these kids are going to have no school or you work for free. I mean, that's a hideous position to put anyone in.
It sounds like politics with the whole government shutdown thing. It's like, oh, come on, give us a break.
Oh, absolutely. And things have been coming out more. I mean, as you guys said, it has gained national attention at this point. I've seen some things on CNN and a couple other national news outlets that slowly but surely they are kind of reporting. Bits of the truth are coming out, but I'm just afraid it's going to be too little too late because those 2 days that we were locked out, the House of Representatives passed through this terrible legislation that is would give us the money to be paid, but is essentially going to dismantle the district and dismantle the union and set not only the staff but the students back a number of steps in the fall. And it's kind of like you put us between a rock and a hard place. And what's going to happen from there?
Yeah, because it wasn't one of the fun things that I saw getting tossed around that maybe we don't need teachers with college degrees.
Exactly.
Maybe.
What? No, that's actually in the Republican.
No need for certification.
That's what the House of Reps already said. Like, yep, that's a-okay.
And some of that's actually there's still some not so great language in the Senate, but the Senate bill at least is a little bit more tolerable, a little bit.
Correct. That's what people are saying. But yes, indeed, what the House passed through says that because the teacher shortage, you don't look at it and say like, hey, let's make it better for teachers. Let's realize that we're making terrible conditions, terrible salary, terrible just overall working environment. That's why people aren't coming. I mean, we don't even have. There's a short of 150, 180 teachers. I think the number.
Well, like my niece is going to school to be a teacher right now, and my first question: why?
Don't do it.
Right, and not only that, there's even a shortage of subs in DPS. I'm a music teacher, and this is my 6th week now working full-time as a second grade homeroom teacher, which I have no experience because that teacher left for a better, more stable job, which you can't blame her for, and there is absolutely no other bodies to take that place.
Now, here's the one thing I don't get, and we were having this discussion on Facebook chat, and Jared and I shot that note. I don't know the exact numbers, but the amount of schools that have opened since 2000 is mind-boggling compared to what's been closed. It's like they're opening almost 2 to 1
and some
versus
of the,
closing. And when you look at student attrition being at the highest rate it's ever been.
Well, and the silly thing about it is that there's no general plan. Whether or not you like charters or public or whatever your beliefs are, it's really silly that it seems like leadership has just abandoned the idea of a neighborhood school. So many neighborhoods in Detroit now have no school, and then other neighborhoods are extremely overserved. And that just seems crazy. That wouldn't be tolerated anywhere else. That just, I mean, it seems silly, right? Like if there was,
my kid's school is at the end of our street.
Right. And I think you'd probably be pretty upset at your community if all the schools were on the other side of town, but there was none near you.
Right.
It's silly. There's no. The thing is that's frustrating about this whole thing is nobody in leadership is looking at, or very few in leadership are looking at the needs of the child and like the needs of the community that's frankly extremely impoverished and has a lot of challenges. And they're just saying, "Oh, it's the teacher's fault," which is simple answers are rarely the truth.
Well, and that's the thing that every Facebook comment and stuff like that I saw that just annoyed the ever living hell out of me was, real nice teachers, you're basically screwing the kids and yada yada yada. It's not. What would you do? I'm like, okay, so your boss comes to you tomorrow and says, "Hey, I'm going to need you to keep working for the next few weeks, and by the way, you're not getting paid."
Right.
What would you do?
And quite honestly, I mean, because we did sick outs back in the winter, and these are issues. This was not just something that came up because they said we wouldn't get paid. It has been such a long time coming, and John, if you could maybe outline a couple of the things, the ongoing main issues that we have kind of contention with.
If you just tuned in, then you saw us sicked out or locked out on Monday and Tuesday, and that was as a result of an email Saturday morning from Judge Rhodes, our transitional manager. Basically, the email said, we know you've worked and you've earned this money and it's supposed to be somewhere, but you're not going to be getting it. And the union had a meeting on Sunday, and we agreed that was unacceptable. We did the math, we backed it up, and figured out we at that point the 26 pay people, the spread pay people, had already worked for free at that point.
Right.
And Judge Rhodes came in the door saying, "I'm not going to expect teachers to work for free." And at that point, Saturday morning when he emailed us, we were furious because we had already worked for free. So we got a letter assuring us, not guaranteeing us, but assuring us, and we were told by our union leadership. It's a synonym. So we took the assurance as a guarantee, another piece of paper saying you're going to get paid. And we went back to work because, it's hard out here for a teacher, but the teachers in Detroit Public Schools are doing great things. We never got into teaching to get rich. We got into to give back, to help kids out.
Which I like to point out people use against us all the time.
Yeah,
don't expect much. You're just a teacher. You knew you wouldn't make money. You do this for the love of the kids. You went into that. It's like, yes.
It's so awful.
Well, you get something I don't, which is the P word, pension.
No, not anymore.
No, that's been gone.
Not for myself and others that have been in the last few years.
A little bit of history, if I remember from following the story. There's a section of teachers that actually they're still loaned money out to. They did a give back of $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000 depending on the teacher.
Yeah, but that's
some of that money. That's way back. But this goes back years and years and years.
If you just tuned in, then like I was saying, there's you got to go back in time and actually look at the last 6, 8, 10 years, and then you see so much that layers of this onion that just reeks. Once upon a time, my daughters wanted to be teachers as well, and I said, "Great, that sounds awesome." And then as years went on, and I was getting less and less pay. I was like, there's no way either one of you going to college to become teachers, anything but that. And that's the sad reality. Teachers have faced a 10% imposed reduction in their pay, a freeze in their steps, which means, each year they make the same amount that they made the year before, no matter what the inflation was. There was a loan that teachers made to the district of about $10,000, which was basically saying at least we're going to get this money back someday when we leave the district, retire or quit or whatever. And So we've gone from making fair money compared to other teachers in other districts to making bottom of the barrel money. And traditionally, when teachers get to the bottom, they sign a new contract and they kind of go to the middle or to the top again. And it's a game of chase the tail, but at least you're kind of keeping up with the Joneses at some level. And for DPS teachers who wear so many hats, we're nurses, social workers, we're coaches, we do the after-school activities. Teachers do so much more these days than they used to do, especially in Detroit, with all the challenges on top of that as being a Detroit teacher. To be getting so little money and so little respect from all angles is just unbearable.
So, the one thing I never understood, like I said, we talk about this a lot, and I don't think anyone, if you ask somebody on the street who gets more funding per student, Detroit schools or Grosse Pointe schools, they would say Grosse Pointe, and it's not true. When you look at funding per schools, Detroit leads the pack.
And here we go. Here's the ticket on funding. If we could just take the money that we were getting per pupil and put it to the classroom, we'd have buildings that were in great shape. We'd have teachers' pays, on par with other districts, and we'd have supplies just like other districts.
Sure.
This last year, approximately $1,000 per student was going towards the debt we have, and next year it was projected that was going to be about $3,000 per student. It was going to triple. So this debt we are talking about now, that's another issue that needs to be talked about. Is we had a surplus, $100 million or so, depends on who you ask, and the state came in and took over. And over the last 6, 8, 9 years, the state has run up that debt. And at this point, it's kind of like the state debt. The state owes the state the money. And now that's what we're talking with the bills being bouncing back between the Senate and the House. Now, the bill in the Senate was a bill that was bipartisan created. It's not a great deal, but what it does is it gives us enough money, $715 million, to get straight, get the debt off of our back, and put the money back towards the classroom, which is where we need it. It was going to give local control back to the elected board, and it was going to allow the union to collectively bargain going forward. And those things were things that DPS teachers were going to be able to live with. We were going to be able to swallow that pill. On top of all the things we just talked about, the financial hardships and the reduction in pay and this and that. Well, now the House passes this bill, and it's back to the reps. The House of Representatives pass a bill that has that stuff we talked about, which is teachers don't need to be certified, no more collectively bargaining agreements. And
no Detroit Education Commission.
They can hire who they want, so it won't just be certified to be anybody. Only $500 million instead of the $715. So they're basically saying, good luck. It's like a chair with 3 legs. One sawed off already, and you really just can't make that work. So that bill would set us up for failure. So at this point, the teachers are trying to say, look, we need help. Obviously, we need the debt forgiven that was run up by the emergency managers.
Wasn't the emergency manager supposed to get everything?
Ideally.
I'm just saying.
It's such a sore subject.
That's what we all thought.
The people of Michigan voted the emergency managers off the table. And
this goes all the way back to Granholm with DPS.
Back, Snyder kind of brought in the Public Act 4 and said, look, I'm going to start doing emergency managers no matter what. And you see how that worked out in Flint. Just awful, awful repercussions now. Kids being poisoned. And you've got the same thing happen in Detroit where the kids are basically being told next year, we don't see the need for you to be in a classroom with a certified teacher. I mean, where on earth would you want to take away certification from anybody's job, lawyer, or doctor?
Most teachers have master's degrees these days.
Pilot. Most do. Some even have doctorates, but they're not getting paid for it like they do in other districts.
Well, my friend, she goes, should I go back and get my master's? My pay bump is like $6,000. I'm like, my God, you really? No. You know what I mean? If that's only your pay bump?
Right. It's a tough choice. Speaking of the whole on par with Flint, I just want to point out that the most recent emergency manager who just stepped down in, when was it, February or so? I want to say January, February. Darnell Early, who was the most recent emergency manager of Detroit Public Schools, he was former Rick Snyder appointed emergency manager of Flint, who was overseeing the city when all the stuff got pushed through about the water.
So that went well.
So let's put him in DPS. Now, follow me here. So he is pushed to resign in disgrace. He is still on payroll for DPS as a consultant. making the tune of like over $80,000 in like the course of like a handful of months or whatever between now and July. So I mean, I don't understand how things like that are happening, and yet teachers are being vilified. People that are there on the front lines, like somehow it's our problem. Like we even make these decisions. Like we even have the power, to make so many of the decisions that have really screwed things over, and it's hideous. It's trying to divide the public, and it's trying to kill our morale. And
we're looking for an audit to go all the way back to 1999 at this point, and that anything less won't be acceptable. We have to see where all that money went. Money's been spent on such awful things.
Well, there's a news article coming out every week about someone that took side money and bribes and lavished whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, and there's conspiracy theories. We were talking about paranormal activity earlier, but conspiracy theories. One of them is, they were set up. They were kind of like induced into it. Now, of course, no one's forced into taking a bribe, but there's suspicions that they're doing anything and everything to make DPS teachers look bad. Like send an email on a Saturday saying you're not going to get paid for money earned already. Indicting a bunch of principals who had their hand in the cookie jar, who did because they're pleading guilty, of course.
Right. And that's something that kind of muddies the waters a little bit. Is certainly DPS was kind of creating a number of its own problems. The leadership, I should say. That has been in DPS has certainly created its own problems, and that because there was obviously reasons why state-appointed leadership took over, and now it's like the state is avoiding responsibility by trying to just point out and magnify every little problem that is happening with the DPS people. And at the end of the day, I mean, I guess the responsibilities may be shared, but the things that are in line to get done are not.
Well, and there's a difference between what those principals were doing and what teachers do. I mean, it's like, I'm sure your average person at Enron really had no involvement with, the day-to-day takedown of, basically half the economy. But, someone sees Enron on a resume and it's going to be a bad thing from here on out.
Right.
So, how does anyone get involved? Does the public? Can we help? What's left?
Well,
I'll
tell you what. Let's get ourselves a little bit back on track. Let's go ahead and take our second break. We'll come back. We've got Jason David Frank calling in, and then we will go ahead and dive back into this and take a look at next steps, future, what's coming up, and that sort of thing. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Great.
All right.
This is the IT and the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D Show.
ITintheD.com.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.
Welcome back. Segment 3, episode 143, the pre-Motor City Comic-Con edition of the IT in the D Show. We're broadcasting live here. Podcast Detroit, beautiful Ferndale, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy, always here with Dave the Geek. Find us online, ITintheD.com. Hey, and this episode is brought to you by our friends at Weebly. We have so many friends that have so many ideas, but they don't have a website and they don't know a coder and they don't have Daves in their life that can build them a website in WordPress. Stop sitting on your hands and do us a favor and start your own website. You don't need to be a web designer. You don't know how to code, and the templates are phenomenal. Dave's happy because I don't have to call him. I got a website that I'm not embarrassed to show off to the public. It looks phenomenal. It's all drag and drop. Publish your site. It is simply that easy. You can customize, change everything anytime. It is very cool. It should not get in the way of you getting your name out there. Do us a favor. Over 30 million people who are already doing it with Weebly. Get started today for free. Weebly.com/IT. That's Weebly, WEEBLY.com/IT. And get your website out. Thank you for the support.
So what you're saying is that they turned Dave into the Maytag repairman.
Exactly.
It's so easy, even a Bob can do it. That's
precisely.
All right. Well, hey, we do have our next caller on the line. We've got, I believe, Jason David Frank on with us.
Hey, guys.
How are you?
Doing good? Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
I would say you probably don't remember us. What, last year or 2 years ago, we got a drop from you, and we used it.
Met with him very briefly at Motor City Comic-Con.
Yeah, we use it for our intro still to this day.
Oh, you do? Well,
of course,
I'll
totally.
Make sure we do a new one when you guys get there.
Good.
We'll do a couple so we can rotate them out so it doesn't get boring.
So you missed last year, am I correct? And you were there 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
2 years ago. You're right.
So is there are you working on the new project with it? You know, that was kind of one of the things. We have a guy here that's interviewed pretty much every Power Ranger known to man. He hosts a Sunday show, and he's like, "Hey, can you ask him if the movie coming out next year? Are you having a cameo? Or you involved in it?" So I'll just lead off with that question.
Yeah, the movie's pretty like top secret. They got the scripts, everything's locked down and all that stuff, and they're pretty hush hush about everything. I think January 2017, the movie comes out.
Okay.
So I think we'll have to wait and see, including me, to see what happens to that movie.
Now, what was your take on that fan film that came out like 9 months ago? I don't know if it was pretty dark.
The fan film, we still have kids watching the show. It's still on Nickelodeon. The brand hasn't disappeared yet where you can just revamp it and have all the older
turn it dark.
Watch it. I'm sure it satisfied a lot of fans of the older people, but you have to understand there's still, there's drugs and a whole bunch of other stuff in there that just, the hardcore fans don't want to see it. I can't watch that with my daughter,
Well, no, that was the thing.
Quality.
That was the thing. Me as a 40-year-old guy, I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Then I'm like, I got an 11-year-old daughter that she can't see it.
Yeah,
And it's like Star Wars, same thing. You wouldn't do that to Star Wars. All of a sudden Han Solo's shooting heroin. And
exactly.
or first,
right. E2 doing drugs. Yeah, So totally got it, man.
So are you?
But yeah, no. I mean, that was before the movie came, and obviously when the movie comes out, I'm sure it's going to really satisfy the fans, the appetite of everyone. I don't think they're going to go that dark. Obviously, they wouldn't be so silly to do that, And I've been behind the brand for 20 years now. Proud of who I am and what I do, and I'm here for the fans, and I think the fans know it.
And you can go dark without going.
I think what's that?
No, I said you can go dark like Empire Strikes Back or like The Dark Knight Batman
totally.
Without being egregious.
I mean, there's a lot of things that fan film could have done without doing the drugs, or even when you shoot someone off screen, not actually show the blood splatter on the camera. Those get to different ratings. Those make you go to a whole different place,
Well, yeah, it's like I'm always thinking. It's like the difference between the movie Alien and then the sequel Aliens. Alien was very much in your head, freak you out, made you think. Aliens was just blood, splatter, gore, blah blah blah.
So last time we talked to you a couple years ago, you were heavy involved in the MMA industry. Are you still a part of it? I mean, obviously it's part of your life. I mean, competitive though. Are you still part of it?
I still train. Next year I'm going to settle down a little bit from Comic-Cons. I got a lot of shows, and like the other day I was writing back a few fans, and man, I think this year God put it on my heart to like serve the fans. You know what I mean? Like be there for them. And next year I got a few projects I'm working on and some MMA stuff that I'm trying to plan. But right now it's just impossible to squeeze a fight when I got 4 shows a month traveling all over the world. It's really impossible. And I want to make sure if I do fight, if CM Punk ever gets better. But
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, darn, I just pulled my muscle. But anyway, when I do, I can train. But for that fight, honestly, I don't even really need to train. I mean, I can fight that dude tomorrow. But I'm saying in general, if I want to make sure I get some good fights, then I make sure I get some good training.
Can we release that on a tweet? Jason David Franks.
Yeah, I'm very confident about that. I don't need training to fight CM Punk. I'm ready tomorrow.
Well, I am
spandex ready, and I'm CM Punk ready tomorrow.
Ready.
Well, I'm a huge pro wrestling.
There we go.
I'm a huge pro wrestling fan and an MMA fan. So for me, this is like and a Power Rangers fan growing up, just a sci-fi fan. This would be like a dream come true. I just want to see him fight.
That's what I'm saying.
I just want to see him fight to see what he's got.
The world knows it, and I just I don't know, but I totally agree. It's not like we're taking 2 universes, and yes, of course, we're battling them into one of the coolest UFC things in history. It was one of the biggest, most talked about, anticipated fight on every website. Everybody, Fox News, everybody called and said that had more hits than bigger fights. And if me and him did do it, it would have been huge. But it's just a matter of favor on his part. I think he gets to pick who he wants to pick, and it is what it is. But, and to answer your question, next
I
year,
wouldn't want to fight you.
I want to do things. Yeah, long question. ADD. I want to definitely do things that I enjoy, and that's one of the things. Just punching people in the face. You can either do it in UFC or Jerry Springer. And unfortunately, Jerry's not around much longer. So, yep. UFC.
So it's kind of funny. I was actually lounging around before the show today, and the original movie, I think it was from 1997, was actually on HBO today, which I haven't seen in years.
Oh yeah.
Do you still?
Crazy.
Do you? I mean, when did they tell you that they're going to play it, or did you just find out that it's on TV now again, or how does that work?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just I wake up and I'll hear my voice and I'll be like, and the TV will be on outside on HBO or something, just really random, Walk by like, step on myself as a toy, see myself on TV, get mad because I stubbed my toe here on a little Power Ranger toy laying on the floor. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, Jimmy, the guy that does the show on Sunday nights, he sent me a couple of things. It's like, I had no idea you were 5 different Rangers. You're the green, white, red, black Dino. Like, how did that come to be? Just different films and you play different characters, or how? I guess walk me through that.
It's just different characters on the show. I mean, just different seasons that they, just picked up and, just kind of went to it. So it was favors, asking about this and that. And, I've been loyal to the brand. So, hey, if I can fit in spandex, why not do it?
Exactly.
It might be a time where it's going to be too late.
No,
Hashtag spandex ready.
That's the thing. You're immortalized in film. I mean, it's obviously it's very cool to go to sleep at night knowing that, like, hey, I did this. Yeah. It's never going away.
Well, and the more the more I think about it, the term spandex ready actually has a lot of weight, because I'm not throwing my ass in spandex bodysuits anytime soon.
Well, I'll wake up every day in the hotel rooms and I'll do the original kicks that I did on the show. As long as I can do it now, might as well. And then when you get older, hey, Photoshop.
Exactly. So what kind of stuff are you working on now? Obviously, I heard you have a clothing line. You're still skydiving. I mean,
I've been working on I have my reality show on Con TV called My More for Life, which is on Con TV season 3 right now. And just working on a lot of stuff. Yeah, I got Rising Sun Karate Schools, got clothing lines, got different stuff. Working on a project with Bat the Sun that did the superpower beatdown, the Green Ranger versus Ryu, and the White Ranger versus Scorpion. Ooh. He's working on a really huge project right now that he'll be releasing, I think, in the summertime with a really big company. So I'm really excited to be part of that show. And Comic-Cons, got Detroit, and every single weekend I'm gone for the next 3 months. But it's just a lot of stuff. I'm just waiting for my head to slow down. I did a little thing at my karate school, Rising Sun Karate's. I haven't done it in a while, but at all, really, just watching Power Rangers with the kids, not older kids like little kids again.
Right.
So I was watching the Green Ranger coming out of the sand, and he got up and he said, Jason helped him up, and I said, my head is spinning. And I looked at all my guys and said, hey, man, I said, 22, 23 years later, my head's still spinning. Ain't much has changed for that. So, but it was good watching it with the kids and stuff. But it's just amazing to watch little kids watch that show and so into it, like 22-year-olds used to be into it. Now Dino Thunder has a whole new audience now. They're starting to get older. Now I'm having 16-year-olds coming up and saying, Dino Thunder was my best, because 10, 12 years ago, they were only 3 or 4. So now with Super Mega Force, this just keeps going. I have like 3 or 4 generations. That's the reason why I think my character is so popular, is that I've been dibbling, dabbling for so many years that I'm grabbing so many, age groups, just maturing and, getting older. So,
well, Dave and I are in our early 40s, and when Power Rangers came out, it was towards the end of our college lives, and it brought us back to when we used to watch Ultraman and Johnny Sacco and his flying robot and Voltron cartoons, and it just completely, like, I was enamored with it because it just brought me back into to my childhood era. So again, that's another level of people that still watch, you know what I mean, the Power Rangers, and going all the way back. I still haven't grown up, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch all that stuff too, man.
So I guess, coming out here from Motor City, I mean, like, what sort of stuff are you expecting, the fans to yak with you about? What sort of, like, merchandise, materials, that sort of stuff you're going to have with you?
Man, here's my invite open to pretty much every con, and I say this confidently, and this is the truth. I don't take appearance fees for anything. You either come, you can say hi to me, or, everyone leaves with something. No obligation at my table. I will not take appearance fees at any con, because I feel like I'm being owned, and I never want to feel like that. So this is a hobby of mine, and I cannot leave it as a hobby. So
interesting.
People don't need to stress. My line's different. Take pictures, videos, come in line. I'd never turn anyone around. away. They, got a Q&A, I believe, questions and answers. I interact with the crowd. I get the crowd pumped up. I feed off their energy. And that's kind of like what I've been doing my whole time, and I just can't. It is not a job for me. This is just a hobby that turned into something really big, much like a basketball player who has a hobby of playing ball. And next thing you know, they're throwing in the, hugest basketball spot.
Right.
You can play ball and be a good kid, or you could do other stuff as some other basketball players do that I can't mention, but you have a choice in it,
No, but it's
wise choices.
It's refreshing because I remember going to cons not too long ago where you had, $10, $20 bills and you got 10 autographs. Now, just to get a picture and autograph, it's $100 from some people. And it's like, come on, man.
Not on my table, man. You can go look online, and I take care of everyone.
That's very
cool, man. I want people to know, you know what? I don't live. This world is not about money. It's about relationships. Honestly, the only way for me to get through con after con, you can go to my Facebook page and look. And I tell everyone, I said it yesterday. I was writing something. I said, I'm here to serve you. And that meant like what God does to people. Like he I tied a kid's shoe the other day. I was thinking, man, like I'll tie fans' shoes. I'm there to serve them. I'm not there for the fans to serve me. And with that attitude, I'm the biggest draw at these cons because they leave happy. And the only way for me to get through it is to feel like I'm blessing someone. That's the only way to get through it. You know what I mean? If I feel I blessed you, that makes me happy.
No, and you can always tell who the cool people are at the cons because their lines are insanely long. And your line was, I think, 40
crazy.
deep. Yeah, and we're like, oh my God, we're never going to talk to him. And CKC walked us up and introduced you. We're like, oh my God, thank you, appreciate it. But hey, you're going to be there Friday.
Anytime, guys. Yeah.
You're going to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or just the weekend? Or just
I'm going to be there. I think Friday. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay, perfect. We will be there also, not too far around the corner from you, so we'll stop by and say hello. And
all right.
And how do we find you online? Do we follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter is JDFFN, and Facebook Jason Frank official fan page.
Perfect. Yeah, Randy from us just sent out a tweet with your hashtag on it. So anybody on Twitter, just grab that hashtag to follow Jason.
Yeah.
And hey, we genuinely appreciate the time. We look forward to meeting you again in person at the Motor City Comic Con. Right. And ladies and gentlemen,
let's do those taglines.
Appreciate it. Jason David Frank, Green Power Ranger. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you this weekend.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
See, I'm in total mark-out mode. I'm not gonna lie.
You are. I can tell.
This stuff. No, again, like that was when I told you when Rangers came out. Like I loved all the Johnny Sacco.
I didn't want to get into the whole. Yeah, I watched it too. I was smoking a lot of weed at the time. I watched the hell out of that show.
And I watched the HBO movie today, and I'm like, and you don't really. It's funny when you watch like old Johnny Sacco now, and you realize how utterly hokey it was. And I watched the Power Rangers movie, and I go, this is a legitimate movie. And I go, wow, is it like campy and hokey? But I think that was the beauty of it was campy and hokey. And it
allowed
was
to
fun.
be.
Yeah, exactly. It's not supposed to be like CGI and crazy graphics.
You don't watch the old Godzilla movies for like phenomenal cinematography and special effects.
No. You look for the lines on Mothra, like connected to the ceiling. Right?
I'll see your Johnny Sacco, and I'll raise you an Ultraman.
Oh, I love Ultraman.
I used to jump off my bed and think I was Hayata, and I hit the button on a pen and try to turn into Ultraman myself.
They still make those movies in Japan. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big, huge following, I bet.
All right, so let's segue back into. And I told you guys this was going to be a crazy episode. Back into DPS, and I think where we left off was okay. So what's next? I mean, like, so what we heard was, well, why couldn't this have waited till the end of the year? Why? I mean, what is coming at the end of the year, and what are the next steps, and what's going on?
Contract negotiations are underway. We do not have a contract for next year. What we're doing right now is finishing up the year. DPS is full of some really great teachers doing great things. I've been around about 8 or 9 buildings over my 16 years, and more than ever, I see fellow teachers bringing their own children into the buildings to be taught at the buildings that we're working in. That's just a tip of the hat to what kind of great things are going on in the classroom. We've got the support of the parents and the students right now behind the teachers. People are enjoying throwing rocks at us, but the truth of the matter is that when Judge Rose came out with a blast on the teachers saying things like, we've lost all those hours of instruction and kids aren't eating. The kids aren't eating is a huge slam and an insult on the parents of our students in Detroit. As if the kids aren't eating if they're not in school. What happens on the weekends, what happens all summer long. And, the hours that need to be made up, the teachers are more than willing to make up a day or two at the end of the school year. We are not running from our duties, and we're definitely not trying to not teach the kids as much as we're supposed to be. We've got no problem teaching summer school and other things and beyond. That's not the issue. So we've got a new contract that needs to be negotiated. Really, I think most teachers, I hate to speak for them because I'm not their leader or their speaker, but if we could get our 10% of pay reduction reinstated, it would feel like a raise.
Right.
And it would be a raise, because we'd be getting money back to where we were a few years ago, and it would feel great, and at some point, maybe 2 or 3 years into the contract, if we were starting to get pay steps, increases in our wage from year to year, that'd be great too. So really, it wouldn't be the end of the world to see a contract where we just get what we were supposed to get, the 10% reinstated, get a bump or two, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, that kind of stuff,
And the thing I hear a lot of people saying during the lockout and other times that school has been closed for issues like this is they're saying, oh, you're denying the kids, the kids aren't getting food, the kids aren't getting education. Well, for one thing, we have to look at the standards as they exist right now with the severely overcrowded classrooms, the fact that I'm a music teacher teaching second grade. I'm not incompetent, but that is not my specialty. You don't want, an orthopedic surgeon doing your heart surgery. Doesn't mean you just don't. But that's the situation that's going on. So for one thing, like I said, you have to look at the conditions that they're saying, oh, you're denying the kids this, that, and the other thing. Well, when school's in session, they're getting denied a lot of that stuff, if it's not being provided to them. Something I wanted to just read a little bit. There's been an article going around online that it's an open letter of sorts by a student from Renaissance High School. And one of the key lines, she says, everyone's so worried about how I'm losing my education from 4 sick-out days. No one's taking into account the fact that I went almost a full semester without a real English teacher. Let's count up those days and see just how much education I missed while the powers that be took their time finding a teacher that was actually willing to step foot in a DPS school due to instability and lack of value of teachers by the state-run district. And that was from a student. Speaking out directly. It's like they want to vilify the teachers, but even the students are recognizing. And I had someone online and respond, in a comment on, I don't know, something I commented on the Free Press article was saying, oh, you're teaching the kids to lie. You're teaching the kids to skirt their duties, because that's what teachers are doing. And I said, no. I said, we're teaching students to stand up for what's right. We're teaching students to know your value. And something everyone who's opposed to this and wants to vilify the teachers talks about, oh, the kids in the schools. Well, teachers have kids too, and so, the child in the school is a value, but not the child of a teacher who is in danger of losing their house because of these cuts. Our health insurance, what did it double, right? Wow. It doubled just overnight, like over Christmas. And as a single person, that was impactful to me, let alone someone that's carrying their dependents on them.
Right.
So it's like, at what point, what children are we caring for and to what degree? It's like a lot of these people want to talk, about the children when it's convenient for them, but they are not the people that often have anything to do with the city that are doing anything in their own time, to better the situation of the kids in Detroit, other than just say that we're not doing what we should do. There's just a lot of the full picture that's being missed, and, people are focusing on a lot of the wrong things.
So what can people do?
Well, they can contact their representatives down in Lansing and let them know that they support teachers, they support public education, take care of the debt that the state, ran up in DPS, that kind of thing. They can be assured that what happens in Detroit will eventually happen in other districts and other cities. So when they start talking about bringing in uncertified teachers into Detroit, the next step wouldn't be to change that back to bringing in certified teachers in Detroit. The next step would be bringing in uncertified teachers everywhere.
Right, make that.
It would save money, and the test scores, which they talk about are being so bad now, they'd be through the floor at that point. You couldn't imagine having an attorney who wasn't licensed to practice law represent you, and having a doctor who wasn't certified. You wouldn't want a guy flying a plane who wasn't licensed.
And this is literally law across the state and across the country. And to me, aside from anything else that's in this legislation, the fact of the uncertified teachers and the fact that this is okay for Detroit but not anywhere else, it is so absurd to me
it's not
that the
data-driven.
conversation has even gotten this far. It's like we're living in crazy town right now.
Educational reform being done by people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Judge Rhodes, he's a bankruptcy judge, which is very interesting that a bankruptcy judge is who they bring in. But his whole panel that they just appointed, who none of their salaries are in danger, might I add, but there's not a single person with an education background, and it's that's pretty par for how it is, certainly.
It's like career politicians making business decisions.
Absolutely.
No, it's true. I'm just saying.
We have, no one is anything. No one is anybody, because they just did it on their own. It's because of teachers. Everyone who's anybody is there because of the teachers they had growing up. People, I don't want to bring them into it, but the firefighters and police officers, they want to pay them $15 an hour. And at some point, no one will want to be a cop or a firefighter if you don't want to pay them.
That was going back to my way back earlier in our conversation. That was one of the points where you became a teacher or a fireman or a cop, because you knew the pay wasn't going to be great, but you knew you were going to have a pension to be taken care of, and you had job security and tenure. There's
raise a family.
Trade-off.
There's an absolute trade-off, and there's no shame.
Not getting rich, but you're definitely making a difference.
But when that's being taken away, you lost that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
It's the conversation that John was saying, with his daughters about, not wanting them to go into education. My mother's a teacher. Her and I just had this conversation. She's retiring at the end of the school year. And, my best friend, since we were 9 years old, she's a teacher as well. And we've had the same conversation, saying this is all we ever wanted to do. But if we could do it over again, it's just getting too hard. And you have to look at, we're told what you have a passion for, But you don't realize when you're just getting absolutely beaten down every day and you can't make a life for yourself.
Right.
And that's a really crappy spot to be put in. That's a really
crappy spot.
People
ask me, what am I doing
in
in Detroit? Why don't I leave? Why did I go in there in the first place? Well, I'm there to make a difference. In the suburbs, kids have great teachers. And so my opinion is, if I'm going to be a great teacher, if I'm going to have passion, teach like my hair's on fire and do the best I can every day, then why not do it in Detroit? Why not help the future of Detroit? So, as goes Detroit, goes the suburbs. I feel like...
No.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
One of the old
thing.
A great line from Boston Public, the old teacher show. A brand new teacher was really having a hard first day, and she's bumbling around the lunchroom, halfway through the first day, and she looks up at one of the old salts and she says something like, "Tell me it gets easier," and he says, "Not if you're doing it right."
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly how I feel. Like, we work harder and harder, we work smarter and smarter. We're always reflecting and trying to do better each year, and the job doesn't get better each year. Just because I've been doing my job for 16 years doesn't mean it's any easier than it was my first year. At least not if I'm doing it right, which is trying to give it my best and raise the bar for my students every year.
So, hey, we're going to bounce up against a quick break, but like you said, if you want to get involved, call your local representative, call Lansing.
Please do.
Get involved. Try to,
and keep an open mind when you're reading these stories,
certainly.
and understand that there are other factors in the equation that people aren't necessarily telling you.
Certainly. But yeah, things are in the hands of the legislators right now, and that's really where we need the power behind. A lot of people want to come and, donations of this, school supplies, pencils, this and that, which is wonderful and so appreciated. But it's such a small little cork in such a bigger leak,
Support the bill as written by the Senate, which was bipartisanly passed.
Hey, we put a Band-Aid on your pinky cut. Great, but my jugular's severed.
Exactly.
But hey, John Carroll, we appreciate you coming in studio and sharing the story. It's obviously stressful, but hopefully there will be some resolve. We'll be back with some more wacky mayhem. That is the IT and the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hey guys, it's Time Hawk, Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. You're listening to the ITintheD show.
ITintheD.com.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D show.
Welcome back. Segment 4, the pre-Motor City Comic-Con edition of the IT and the D show. This is episode 143.
Yeah.
Nuts. Find us online, ITintheD.com. This is Bob the Sales Guy, always here with Dave the Geek. Jeremiah from Daily Detroit is in the house. Do us a favor, mark your calendars. This weekend, May 13th through the 15th, we're at Motor City Comic-Con all weekend. Got a booth, Podcast Detroit in the house.
2 booths.
And then
we're cool.
Well, one big one. It's like a foot-long sub is still one sub.
Okay.
And then May 19th already, we got another social coming up at
next
Hopcat.
Thursday. Yeah.
We have a propensity for
overbooking
self-destruction.
ourselves. Well, and then last Thursday, we didn't even talk about this. We had our Metro Detroit podcasters meet up. It was a phenomenal success, I think.
Just because all new faces.
Yeah, like 70% of the people that showed up, we had never met before. They weren't from our network. They weren't like our folks. It was great.
And I got introduced to like my favorite new podcast of all time,
the Arnold Schwarzenegger News.
Yes, just the whole podcast on
every once a week, whether he's in the news or not. There's an Arnold Schwarzenegger in the News podcast.
I'm going to wake up today and go, what do you want to talk about today? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Cool. Let's record it. I'm done. So I got to talk about, we always talk about hacks and stuff. You know, obviously it's supposed to be an IT show. But I got the weirdest
details.
I got the weirdest hack yesterday and today. So I bought, for Valentine's Day, I bought my wife Duran Duran tickets.
Right.
I didn't know on StubHub that you can hack my account and sell those tickets beneath me without me knowing. So all of a sudden I get an email going, we've removed your listing. I'm like, what listing? Like Duran Duran tickets. I go, no, I bought those. So I called the hotline and they're like, your tickets are gone. And I'm like, what do you mean my tickets are gone? So they went through a whole protection thing and they gave me new tickets in the same row. Mm-hmm. They ate them. But for the most part, that's like the newest.
We have a call coming in.
We have a call. Oh, my goodness.
So we'll wrap that story in a second.
Yeah.
Simon LeBon.
Hey, this is the ITintheD show. Who do we have?
What's up? This is Ming Chen.
Ming,
what's up, guys?
He came early.
Quite all right.
It's a genetic problem. I get very overexcited.
So, hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. How are you guys? It's good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, we are doing good. We're looking forward to seeing you again this weekend.
I can't wait. You guys have no idea. I mean, geez, man. This is a dream come true for sure.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. Just when we got the email that said "Get your livers ready, we're coming to town," that was all we needed to know.
No, Ming, I don't know. You don't know, Ming. You don't know the story. So you must have sent it to my Apple ID, which is connected to my kids' iPads, right? And I get a phone call from my wife, and it says my 11-year-old daughter. Gretchen got a text that said, "Get your livers ready." Really? And I'm flipping out, like coming into town, and I'm flipping out, like who the heck would have done, like someone of my old business friends or whatever. And then I saw the email from him, and I'm like, oh, thank God, it's just Ming from the Comic-Con.
It's not Wendy from St. Louis.
Exactly. Yep, only me. Me. And sent to a kid that sounds a lot more sinister than it does to say.
She didn't know.
Us who are, we're good friends already, who know each other and have drank with each other.
Minor details.
Right.
So, hey, man, obviously you've got a lot of stuff going on that you'll be talking about at Comic-Con. So how's life, in Red Bank with the stash? How are the shows going, and how are the podcasts going?
Life is great. I'm very honored to be on Podcast Detroit. Definitely increased our Q rating as they coined that term back in the '60s.
Right.
And podcasts are going great. Doing I Sell Comics on Kevin Smodco Network. But Mike and I a couple months ago, actually shortly after meeting you guys, decided we wanted to start something where we could just talk about whatever the heck we wanted.
Sounds familiar.
We started the Ming and Mike show, and that's been going pretty well since November. But that was partially inspired by you guys. So thank you very much. You guys are always inspiring new projects and bringing people together. So I love it.
Yeah, that was the best part of that conversation was, we talked and it was like, we're going to go back. We're going to talk about it. We're going to figure out, maybe a month or two, we'll figure it out. And then the following Sunday, there were like 2 days later, there was we decided we weren't going to wait. Here's episode 1, go.
Yeah, why wait? Especially in podcasting, you know how easy it is to start one, to start recording one, and get up an initial episode. And that's something I try to impart to anybody who wants to start a podcast is, you could literally have one up in like an hour.
I mean, doing, singing karaoke to the Flash Gordon theme song with a 6'3" German guy kind of has that impact on people. I'm just saying,
Oh yeah, for sure. If that doesn't inspire you to move your ass, then I don't know what will.
Honestly, that was one of my favorite, most surreal nights. It's like all of a sudden we're at this total dive bar called Dickweeds in Mount Clemens, Michigan, and here's 6'8" Big Tiny from Walking Dead singing the transvestite. What is that? What's that song?
Sweet Transvestite.
Sweet Transvestite from Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like everyone's looking around. Well, what in the hell did you guys do? What happened to this place?
I think that just cemented that. I travel a lot for these cons. I've been to cons big and small, and no matter where I go, I always seem to wind up at the coolest place. And I don't know if that's talent. I don't know if that's just following my alcoholic nose.
Well, you're not a hard guy to talk to, Ming.
Right.
No, I guess not. Or I guess that's just a product of meeting cool people like you guys. Like if you're open like that, if you find the coolest people in the room, you will end up at the coolest place in Mount Clemens, Michigan, of all places.
I wouldn't call Dickweeds the coolest place, but we'll run with it.
Let's just remember how we wound up there. Oh my God, there's a bar named Dickweeds that has karaoke. Mount up, boys, we're going.
I think on that night it was by far the coolest place. I defy anybody to find a better place than that.
And the funny part is
particular Saturday night in November.
The funny part is the bartenders and the waitresses all like Facebook
and the owner
friended,
all sent us Facebook friend requests,
and they keep in touch with us to this day. When you guys coming back?
Yeah, I made some new friends that night too. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Facebook.
So how's Comic Book Men going? I mean, the series seems to be going well.
Comic Book Men is doing well. We just finished up our 5th season, waiting for the official word on a 6th season. And it's looking pretty good, my friends. So for anybody who's been watching, who's been there since the beginning, or maybe tuned in the season, thank you very much. That definitely helps us keep going. And it's weird. Every time I go to a con or I meet fans, they're like, "What's it like? Do you like it? Is it fun?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, it's fun." I think you can tell by watching the show we're having fun. But how could it not be fun sitting around in Kevin's comic book store debating Force Awakens plot points, or whether or not Biff 10 and how he skewed in the alternate timeline in Back to the Future 2, whether that was possible or not.
We had Leah Thompson on earlier,
How
Ming.
could that be fun?
We had Leah Thompson on earlier in the show.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, she's one of the people I can't wait to meet. I've never met her, and I think probably with you guys too. Back to the Future. And the whole trilogy really was life-changing.
Well, the fact that it came as forward as far as it went back is kind of scary, right? If you think about when we watched it in the 80s and the 50s seemed ancient, and now like 85 is...
And now we're just as far beyond that,
right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Oh my God, 2015 seems so far away that I never thought I would see it. It just seems so...
I still don't have my hoverboard.
I guess they picked a random date in the future, random year in the future. Let's go forward, say, 30 years, and it just seems so far away that, like, I'm not, either I'm never going to live that long, or I'm going to be as old as my parents. Then, like, that's crazy. That'll never happen.
Exactly.
And sadly, here we are.
Well, that's the thing. I bought a classic Cadillac, the same one my dad had, and I go, my drive around my 10-year-old kid, and I go, could you imagine? This is like my father having like a 1944 Oldsmobile. Like, that's the same distance to and from. You know what I mean? It's mind-boggling to me that could even happen.
Yeah, it's insane. But look at where we are, gentlemen. Look at how far we've come personally. I think we did pretty well for ourselves if we reflect back and forward and look at our current states. We turned out okay.
We're having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all it's about, right? And you get to sit and talk with fans, and you get they get to play Stump Ming, right, where they know more about comics than you do.
Yeah, that's what I had Mike Dapsik for. He's the ringer in that situation.
He's your walking, talking encyclopedia.
My wife wants more of his hot sauce. By the way, she buried through that bottle of hot sauce of his.
Oh, I'm going to talk to him, see if we can bring some up. It's Michigan. It's my home state. I get to come back again. I'm freaking excited. The Motor City Comic Con in particular has a special place in my heart. Back in 1996, I just I'd fallen out of comics while I was in college. I was actually trying to study and get that diploma and graduate at a reasonable time. So I fell out of comics, but right at the end, I got way back in, and a friend had burst in and told me about this comic book convention that was going on, and it turned out to be Motor City. So it was one of the first cons that I went to, and kind of like I call it kind of the Comic-Con Renaissance era. Before that, they were all in church basements or somewhere in shopping malls. They were very small, and that was one of the bigger major ones that I had gone to, and I was awed by how cool it was. And now I understand 20 years later, it's even bigger and crazier, and they have people like Leah Thompson and John Bernthal and major stars, and it just blows my mind that 20 years ago I went there, just as a fan. I paid my $10 admission, and now
it's a little more expensive now.
Crazy. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it's a little more than $10, just for inflation.
I bought the Four Horsemen VIP package because I'm a complete wrestling nerd.
Oh my!
And I'm regretting
that
it.
Was
right
significantly
now.
more. So it was significantly more than $10.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It is, but hey, man, you got some Ric Flair in there. I think that's priceless.
The Four Horsemen in one place in one room with J.J. Dillon. I mean, where do you go? Where can you go?
Yeah, that's crazy. But I guess the message I tell kids is, or any kids I run into is, 20 years ago I was there as a fan. Now I'm here as a guest. Like if you, and all I did was love comics and pop culture. So if I can do it, certainly you can. So hopefully that inspires some kids out there to ditch school, read comics, play video games, do what they truly love, and everything will work out.
So you, the story doesn't. We haven't told it yet, but you and Dave have a little bit of a history going back to the original, like Kevin Smith ViewAskYou.com, like
when the stash opened. Yeah,
when that whole thing opened. I don't know if you want to tell the story, Dave. You want to tell it? It's a phenomenal story.
Well, no, so, I mean, it just wound up working out that I built the website for the Stash Bash's grand opening. Back in the day,
yes.
and Ming, Ming and I wound up bouncing back and forth on the message boards and that kind of stuff, and I mean that was a phenomenal weekend, and it was. I mean, it still made me laugh, when we ran into each other at Fantasticon, and I said, you probably won't remember me, but this was me, and you were like, oh my God, Echo Dave, like that's the, that was God 90.
Yeah, I totally remember that. I remember you built that, and I was like, wow, who would take this kind of initiative, and who's got this kind of free time to build something like this?
A nerd,
OCD nerd,
a nerd who was trying to impress a girl.
Yeah, it was cool though. One of the things we had, when we originally built Kevin's site was to foster a community and build a community, which we did via a message board, and you did kind of the same thing where you kind of gathered and all the people who were coming that weekend,
yep.
and kind of brought everybody together, and it became one big party. It was awesome.
Well, do you know why Dave's in Detroit? Did he tell you last time you were here?
No, what happened?
He met his first wife on a Star Wars CompuServe forum and moved to Detroit to marry her. True story.
Back in '95, yeah. long before it was cool.
So that is very much like Back to the Future. Was it a Match Made in Space? Was that George?
Well, no, the first wife, ex-wife.
Yeah,
no, not so much.
All right,
match.
well, it worked out for a little bit.
It got me to Michigan, where a lot of good things have happened. I'm rolling with that.
Yeah, always look at the positives.
Exactly. So, hey, what are you and Mike going to be doing while you're here?
We're going to be we'll be at the con all 3 days. When we're not there, I'm going to be trying to do as much podcasting as possible. I'm going to be going home to Ann Arbor for a little bit, and hopefully we'll be drinking together. I'm looking for dive bars and speakeasies, and
we got that.
Yeah, we got it. We're good.
Sliders and Coney dogs.
Telway.
The usual agenda.
We'll fire up the party bus. We're good.
Yeah, just let us know. Just let us know when you're available, and we'll make time.
When I'm not at the con, I believe I'll be pretty available.
Well, no, is the rumor still true? You're coming into the show Monday night next week?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be in studio.
Yay!
That was definitely on the list. So I will be driving over to Ferndale,
which might well be, if not the last, one of our last shows here.
Oh yeah, we're opening up a new building. So yeah, we'll tell you more about it later.
Wow.
Yeah, we're expanding.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's a mark of progress. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. We're expanding, and not just my waistline. Hey.
Well, hey, man, we'll cut you loose. We'll see you this weekend. Really looking forward to seeing you guys, and absolutely looking forward to hanging out again because that was so much fun. Where can people find? Like, where do we want to point people to find you online?
I'm on Twitter at MingChen37. Facebook, do a search on Ming Chen Comic Book Man. MingChen37 on Instagram. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been promoting our appearance via Michigan Greatest Moments in Michigan Sports Memes.
Oh, I totally have.
Basically.
Oh, I totally have.
I've been coming with little things like, meeting me and Mike is more exciting than a Kirk Gibson home run in the 1984 World Series.
I saw the Desmond Howard one.
Today I just posted one, meet the new Detroit Bad Boys, Ming Chen and Mike Zapsik.
Nice.
The most fearsome duo since Theo Lambier and Rick Mahorn. I could go on and on. The Michigan sports history runs so deep.
Hey, Ming, and most importantly, we can listen to your podcast on Podcast Detroit.
Yes, absolutely. It's
kind of cool.
Show every week on Podcast Detroit. Absolutely. Do not miss that. Subscribe, listen, support Podcast Detroit, one of the greatest podcast networks in the world.
We'll take it. We know you're FOS, but we'll take it. All
right, man. Well, hey,
I might be. I'm a company man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Kevin keeps you around.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again for calling in, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you guys. If you're in the area, come on by and hang out with us.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it.
We'll gather up the train.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Knowing Dave, he'll get a party bus.
Fantastic. So, thank you guys, and go Blue. See you guys this weekend in Michigan.
Thank you, Ming.
See you, man.
Looking forward to it. Ming Chen, AMC's Comic Book Men, and the part of the Ming and Mike show that you can hear on Podcast Detroit.
Yeah.
What a cool guy.
He is such a great guy.
You know, here's the thing. You, me, I don't know, you more than me, but if we had like our own weekly show, like following Walking Dead, where we got to talk about Batman and shit, your ego would you couldn't walk in the door. You would be such a dick. I'm just best
Thanks
friend.
For the vote of confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, nice.
You know I'm right too.
You kind of
exactly.
So hey, back to your StubHub hack.
Oh my God!
So they were canceling your listing. You didn't even know you had a listing.
Yeah. So I call, and they're actually got a pretty decent support staff, and they're like, oh, I'll email you the tickets, and so they email me the tickets, and all the numbers are blacked out. Apparently, they literally sold the tickets. And so StubHub has a program like a My Protect or something, where they called me and said, hey, we're giving you the seats right next to the ones you bought because those are for sale also, and we're giving you a $100 refund per ticket. But again, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like when you buy tickets, I didn't realize like you can get someone hacks into your account, they can sell the tickets you just bought. So here I am. I printed them out. I gave them to my wife.
You're excited.
I thought you were done.
I'm done. I'm absolved.
You're ready to go.
Yeah, you go. It's on a Monday night, so you take your sister, because we were doing the podcast. So it was like 10th row center. I was all proud of myself. I got her VIP access, the whole nine, right? I was good boy. And it totally threw me.
And then some random schmuck on the internet.
I know, but of all the hacks, right? Hack my bank account. You're hacking my StubHub account. Like of all the stupid.
Well, what's even funnier is the person who hacked. Maybe not the person who hacked it, but however it is, they're going to be at the concert on the same row as you.
And the newest seats are
no.
No, they sold them.
No, the person who bought the tickets from the person who hacked his account.
Unless of course they hacked the account and just took them for themselves.
Well, no, because there was a listing.
Okay.
So they were selling them. Oh, so they weren't sold. So wait a minute. If the tickets weren't sold and the listing was just there, why can't they just give you back your tickets?
I don't know. They didn't tell me.
Well, they're going to be sitting right there. Ask them.
They were just like $100. Here's your tickets back, or here's some tickets down the road. So, again, wow. I got to think twice now.
Bet it was a StubHub employee.
Oh, that'd be rough.
They weren't cheap. You know how expensive tickets are to that crap these days? It's not like it was cheap.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that. Where like I became like 87-year-old angry, cranky grandpa. Where I'm like, tickets for concerts, kiss my ass.
I remember when they were $39 was expensive, and we're like, and I'm not that old where I don't remember. And now $250, like, kiss my ass. Like,
well, part of it is
deep inside it, like all the way in the middle.
Concerts for you.
It's $500. I drop. I don't care. It's my wife. Do we got?
What time you're paying?
Yeah, but I want to talk about the Kohler toilet.
We'll get to that, Bob.
All right.
I assure you. You can get to your smart toilet
Fine.
story. But I believe we have Jordan on the line with us right now. Yes.
Yes, hello.
Good. Hey, how are you?
I'm super. How are you today?
Doing great. It's hilarious. We've sat next to you at I think 3 different cons now, and we finally get you on the show.
I know. I'm so thrilled. I've been telling people about this for a couple of days, and they're like, "What's this podcast?" And I was like, "Oh, it's super awesome!" And I've seen these guys at like every convention. We're finally making this happen on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
You sat next to us at the Macomb College one for like a day, and we're like, "Hey, we remember you."
We
like
need to get you on, and then it never happened because we were idiots,
Yep.
and that's just how that works. So, hey, you host a show called Comics Continuum, and you are going to be out here at Motor City Comic Con this weekend. So, what should folks be looking for from you?
Oh man, both of those things are true. I am going to be at a table with my name on it, with a bunch of pictures in front of me, and on Sunday we'll be.
Now, are you going to have your
episode-
standard, the one, because this made me laugh so hard at Great Lakes Comic Con?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to have the little,
What?
"It's okay to ask me who I am"?
Yeah. I feel like that's become my signature at this point. So,
It must.
yeah,
It
of
must
course.
be.
Sorry?
It must be. You got to have that. That makes me laugh every time I see it.
I've gotten a lot of like, "That's such a great idea. Oh, that's so smart. Oh, that's so great." I'm like, it's just necessary. Like all it is, it's because I've always been, because I've been coming to Motor City Comic Con as the first comic convention I went to. I've been doing this ever since I was like a kid, and I was always terrified to talk to anybody on the other side of the table. And so, like, that sign is to baby Jordan. I'm like, don't be afraid. Come talk to me.
Well, we learned there's a thing called cosplay consent, and I really didn't know what that was, and I still kind of don't. And no, I know, but like at least you open that up, saying don't just come by and take a picture of me and walk away, right? At least like say hi and introduce yourself, and
Exactly. Yeah, because it's weird otherwise. You're like, okay, well, thank you for taking a piece of me. I'm a person. Okay, bye.
Thanks for stealing my soul.
Well, we remember Andrew McCarthy from like Weekend at Bernie's and all the the Rat Pack movies. He
broke my heart.
He built a wall around himself and said no pictures because people were just walking by, snapping a picture and leaving, and weren't introducing, like saying hi or can I take a picture?
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
Right. So like literally, you built like a little cubicle wall, like a kid's like
Like,
science
went and got
project.
poster board.
Yeah, right.
They had- or probably had the assistant go and get poster board.
That's so funny. Well, it's tough because I know that, there are, I've been to conventions where they have, like no photos. There was, I went to a Toronto Comic Con and Edward James Olmos was there. And this was like right after the end of Battlestar Galactica. And I was losing my mind. And I was so excited. And I wanted to interview him for a different actually show that I was doing. But he was not allowing photos. He was not doing interviews. He wasn't, and to me that like stood out as like, oh, well, I guess he doesn't want anyone to go talk to him, like he wants to be left alone. He's not,
Excuse
but
me.
you have to go in and interact.
He would have
It's not just
interviewed.
like-
He would have done the interview with me because I just wanted to talk about Stand and Deliver and make him say it's all about the keys. And then he would have been, thank you for not talking about Battlestar Galactica for crying out loud. No, I'm not Lord Green, the Mexican Lord Green.
Yeah, it made it even more awkward when we shared an elevator later. I was like, hey, I was too scared to come talk to you. How are you doing?
His body's decomposing in my locker. I would so have to do that to him. I wouldn't even.
This is why I'm still stunned. People give us press passes, Bob, because those things happen.
Right, exactly.
So, how's the Comics Continuum show going these days?
It is going well. We just did our free comic book day special on Saturday, which was really fun. We do it every year where we go around to a whole bunch of the stores in the Metro Detroit area, beautiful Southeast Michigan, and we started at Liberty Comics, and we drove up through Sterling Heights. We drove.
I think our Ghostbusters buddies were there.
Yeah, those guys are so awesome. It's always such a great, it's a great pleasure to see them. I'm sad that they're not going to be at Motor City this year, which is like I think
they're not.
I know, right? I was like, what? I'll see you guys next week.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, I know.
I guess there's just not room because of the car and all of that stuff.
I'm shooting Eric a note, finding out what the hell happened.
Sorry?
So I'm going to shoot Eric a note, find out what the hell happened.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, what's happening? Yeah, but I guess with the convention being so big this year or something, because there are going to be so many people and so many guests, and lots of.
Well, yeah, they're
stuff
projecting
happening.
what 50,000 people on Saturday for the love of God.
That's what they're hearing. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like I'm not excited about parking, but I'm sure that they'll have something in place.
I think the trick is going to be just get there Friday, park your car, and then Uber wherever you need to go from that point forward.
Yeah, $183 Uber because we had to wait for an hour.
It was a 9x surge around Motor City Comic Con.
No, we have the trick, and I'm not announcing it, but you know exactly where I parked every space last year. That's our.
Oh, that's where we're going.
Exactly.
We got the hookup, Jordan. We can tell you off the air.
We'll tell you offline.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
Bob,
this is a secret club now.
In between time, you could drive.
Exactly. I did sign up to be an Uber driver. I could take myself back and get paid for it.
You pay yourself. I don't know if that's even, right? You just break even.
Pretty much. Yeah, minus the transaction fee. I think it's a lose transaction for you.
And you got to pay for gas. Hopefully you don't vomit in your own car.
Oh, I've done it.
You've met Bob. You know this is possible. So like what should folks be expecting to come talk to you about, or like what do you want people to come talk to you about at the con?
Well, I mean, I always love it when people have seen Comic Continuum and they, come and like, we watch your show. That is such an amazing feeling because you create something. I'm sure as podcasters, you guys know, or you make something, you put all this effort into it, and then you just put it out into the ether and then wait, and you wait for that echo to come back. And sometimes it takes a while to return. And so it feels like you're just sort of, oh, I'm just doing a little thing. Oh, it's no big deal. And somebody come up to you and it's like, hey, you're in my living room.
Oh, it's a little freaky. It just had, we were at PenguinCon this past weekend, and so we were standing by the elevators, and some guy walks up and just goes, "Hey, you're Bob." And Bob was like, "Yeah."
I thought he was reading my name tag, and he wasn't. he recognized my voice, and then saw I was wearing a Pabst Blue Ribbon sport coat. He goes, "Oh, I heard you talking about that on the show." And I go, "What show?" I was like completely mind blown.
The one I do.
Oh, that one, yeah. It doesn't register. Yeah. So I mean, are you going to be setting up shop all 3 days? Are you there? Just okay.
I'm super excited. I will be there. I will have a table. I will mostly be kind of sitting at the table or like nearby, talking to people and stuff like that. Because there are also like people that I don't get to see throughout the rest of the year, except during Motor City. And so usually on Friday morning or on Sunday, you kind of go around and like say hi to everybody.
That is kind of the fun part of the cons. There's that connection that you make, like, and unfortunately, you only get to run into them either at other cons or the once a year here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and especially since I live in Cincinnati now, and there are a lot of, and I'm from Michigan originally and lived here for a very long time. But there are people that I'm very good friends with, who I pretty much only get to see around convention time. And so, like, when I come up to the con, I'm up for like a couple of days. I'm trying to cram in like family and like every single person I've ever known into like hangout times. And it's like, I'll see you. I have 17 minutes next Wednesday. Can we do that to hang out? And so it's nice to be able to, have the convention and have like the sort of Saturday night party to like get together and pick up your feet and, say hi to people you haven't seen since last year.
I'm just jealous you live like 10 minutes by my favorite restaurant in the entire country. The Newport, Kentucky Hofbrauhaus.
That is so funny. I can see the sign in my mind's eye right now.
I thought you could get through the front windshield of my car right now.
Exactly. If I go there, the waitresses and the bartenders like, "Hey, Bob," and I'm there like every 6 months.
But your norm.
Yeah, totally.
That's adorable. Oh, when Bobby knows your name. So you're looking forward to the Cincinnati Comic Con then?
No, I have a client down there, so I go there
for the day job.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for real reasons.
Basically, every now and then we actually have to do a real job thing. It works out that way.
Yeah. That happens.
So hey, is there anything other than the Comics Continuum thing? Is there anything out? Any other projects that you've got working on? Anything like that you want people to know about? Oh
man, well, in addition to being the host of a super cool show, I'm an actor.
Not that that's a minor thing. Let me just back that up. But I know you've got other stuff going on. It was a leading question.
Yes. Now I get to talk about this. No, I've been there's a movie that's supposed to be coming out this summer that's called Elder Island, which I shot in Michigan last year, which is a horror movie, and so there'll be just screaming and running around. And hopefully, I will have more information about that at Motor City. But they've been telling me that that's happening soon. And for the first time this year, I'll actually have DVDs to distribute also. So there's a movie that I did called A Mosquito Man that came out pretty recently that was, it's highly comic book influenced. It's very stylized and kind of campy. And it's about a man who is having the worst day of his life. He works at a nuclear power plant and finds out his wife is cheating on him and then gets kidnapped by a mad scientist and experimented on and turned into a mosquito man.
I was like, the first part of that plot started off with Modern Problems with Chevy Chase.
I thought it was The Simpsons.
Well, it's just that, right? It's modern problems writ large.
Right.
All of these things that you don't realize are affecting your life suddenly twist, and then things are all very, very different, and then suddenly you have power over tiny bugs. And are hooking up with your coworker.
It's like Aquaman.
I play the love interest of the Mosquito Man himself, and that was a really fun movie to shoot. We filmed it locally in Michigan. We filmed it in Pontiac, and I'm so happy that it's out now. And it's available on Amazon. It's a 2-disc special edition set, so you can get the disc that was, or the cut of the movie that was supposed to be for sci-fi, and then the cut of the movie that the director likes better.
I thought it was a blooper reel. I'm disappointed.
That's right. The outtakes reel. The outtakes reel.
The blooper reel.
There are outtakes on it as well. There are some cut bits. There's a guy, Danny Mooney, who is a Michigan native, and he had a small role in Batman v Superman, and he gets around. Fantastic actor, really, really funny dude, and he plays a detective in that movie, and he is hilarious and has a pretty big role in it, and all of his outtakes are amazing. He's just full of comedy gold. So I'll have that. I will have copies of what was it? A Matter of Faith, which is a Christian film that I did that is on Netflix now. And if you want to own a signed copy of that, you can pick that up at my table too. I will have 2 of them. And that's been going pretty well. And then I also am an artist, and so I will have I'll be taking commissions and doing sketch work and stuff like that. So
because when you're not talking to people, you're usually sitting there with your sketchbook open, working on something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I actually just got a commission yesterday. A guy sent me a message on Facebook and was like, "Hey, will you do this for me at the convention?" And so he's going to pick it up there, which is exciting. So that's my second pre-con commission.
Will you put my head on?
Usually it's. Sorry?
I was going to say, will you put my head on Princess Leia's body?
I did not hear or understand anything you just said.
Nothing, never mind.
That's probably for the best.
Making a bad joke.
Oh. Okay.
All right, so where do people find Comics Continuum, and how can people find you online?
Well, Comics Continuum, you can go to comicscontinuum.com and go down to the very bottom of it, and it says it's the show. There's a link, and we will post online the show after it airs every week, and it airs in a bunch of different markets in the Midwest. In Detroit area, it airs on My TV 20 on Sundays at 5:30 a.m. A lot of people DVR it.
I was going to say, so set your DVR.
Yeah. DVR it. You can stream it online, and then it's on in Toledo I think it's on Saturdays at 6 or maybe 9, and then on a couple of other places in South Bend and Massillon and stuff like that. So you can see it on the TV or your TiVo or your DVR. Showing my age. And
hey, don't! I almost said TiVo. I bought my first one back in 2002, so yeah, don't feel bad.
You didn't say tape it. If you said tape it, that would have shown age.
Exactly.
And so you can see it there, and then you can find me online at there's facebook.com/TheJordanTrovillion. That's me. And then I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Treble Dreamer, which I tried to change to something more reasonable, but it untagged all my previous posts, so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, they don't make that very easy.
No, they really, really don't. They're like, "Oh, you did an embarrassing thing when you were a teenager? Great. That's for you forever."
It's part of your permanent record, young lady.
Exactly. That's your brand now, babe.
right. Well, hey, we will. We'll see you this weekend. Kind of looking forward to it. And I don't know if you were listening earlier when Ming's on. Apparently, we're responsible for organizing the party train.
Ooh. That's going to be great. Yeah, Ming and I have been texting back and forth about how excited we are to have this. Like, we're gonna party, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. No plans have been made. No firm anything.
No, I got it. They're relying on us.
Yeah, we got it. We're good.
Cool. Well, I look forward to you. Our evening is in your hands.
Yeah, it's sliders, conies, dive bars. Yeah, we're good. We're all covered.
All right, good. I'm game. I'll
awesome. Jordan, always nice talking to you. We'll see you this weekend, and we'll post all your all the how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff on our post recap of our show, and appreciate the time.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure, and I'm really happy to finally be here.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend. We'll talk more.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. All right, I'll see you this weekend.
Thanks for the time. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
She's awesome.
Wow, is she perky?
Yeah, I know. And for this time of night, I know.
All right, so Bob, I know before we wrap things up, there was one last story that you felt you had to get into.
So I'm watching, I was flipping, when I was between the Power Rangers movie and ESPN and Food Network, typically, my back and forth thing. And there's a commercial, and it was like, it caught my eye because there's robots that knocked on the door that look like Ex Machina. And I freaking love that movie. So I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. And it's like a dinner party. And they're like, oh my God, there's like robots and stuff. Well, all of a sudden, it fast forwards a little bit, and all the robots are in the bathroom, right?
Because
and they're surrounding the toilet, and the guy walks in that's hosting the party, who's a man,
right?
And they're like, "Hey, why don't we let the human go first?" So like the robots want to sit and watch him like take a dump. And they're like, it's the future of toilets and the Kohler. And I'm like,
wow, that's not creepy at all.
No, it was the weirdest commercial I've ever seen. So I'm like, I got to Google this son of a bitch. And so help me God, it was the Kohler. I always want to call it the Nuri, but it's
the Numi.
The Numi. Sorry, Nuri, the Numi. And this thing.
Numa.
And this thing exists. It's a real thing. It's a $6,000 toilet.
Why?
And no. And here's the features of said toilet. It's chair height. Like you can change it. So if you're 5'3" and I'm 6'4", you can. So it's app enabled.
Are there like house presets?
Yeah, totally. It's app enabled, so you can say like Bob's pooping, and it'll raise up a little bit, or like you can set it back down, like putting the seat up and down, right? It's
amazing.
I know. And it's got a built-in Bluetooth speaker.
This is the height of human invention right here.
Oh, totally. It's got a built-in Bluetooth speaker just so you can listen to like Johnny Cash while you're on the throne.
Ring of Fire.
Ambient lighting, because of course you want to feel like you're in a nightclub while you're doing business.
How many watts?
I don't know how many watts.
1.21 gigawatts.
Right. And now here's the kicker. The app control, like you can sit with your iPad on the toilet and hit the bidet button, right? Which would probably shoot you out of your seat. But then after the bidet's done, they have this little blow dryer in that sumbitch. So you don't even have to wipe. You could spray a fire hose and then blow. Here comes the car wash dryer.
Hands free.
And this thing's. But this commercial is the stupidest commercial I've ever seen. It doesn't robots want to watch me. Crap, I'm going to buy the $6,000 toilet. And I'm like, again, the advertising agency that put this. But then I started reading it. I'm like, this thing's either genius or I know that in Asia and Japan they do weird crap with their toilets. But this thing's like,
I just want to know how many of these
are sold in the U.S.
Sold. Like I do. I want that number. I want to know.
We have to. We can tweet them right now.
I want a Freedom of Information Act
at Kohler. How many of your Numi crappers? Have you guys sold?
This could be a business expense, guys.
To buy one? In the new studio,
right? Ooh. With the card, not only do you get access, but you swipe the card and it adjusts the seat just for you.
You get access to the studio, but not the bathroom.
I was going to say, I'd have to quit my job. Where's Bob?
The toilet of the studio.
Oh, and there's
we'll Skype him in.
There's a butt warmer too.
Ooh.
Because,
it's cold here.
If there was only a feature to make my legs not go to sleep.
Just massages your legs while
it's like you put the stirrups like
What about a foot bath?
See, I don't, feet are gross. You got to change the water, and that's disgusting.
So that's the line.
That's the line. Right, you got to change the foot water.
Blow drying your butt.
Right.
Is not the
perfectly
line.
Acceptable.
Perfectly acceptable. But
no foot water. I don't need
no foot water.
No, but then did I say it's got a poo flush and a pee flush too? Like I always thought, like I wanted to invent that, and then I found out there's a patent in Australia, and it's a mandated thing. Sometimes you only need a half gallon, sometimes you need 3. Like I don't.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
Exactly. So like, I'm conserving water. So I was all about water conservation in my college days. But you need a little extra oomph. Right, this thing will give it to you. So
is there like a third setting?
No,
just like Bob.
Yeah, baby arm. Thank you for completing the joke.
No, it's like those commercials. The 16 burritos in there. Like when I throw away all my leftover Mexican food in the toilet.
So you can flush a dachshund. Why would you want to?
Sometimes. But yeah, so the
Gretchen, where did the fish go?
So yeah, my homework assignment is to find out how many of these have been sold in the U.S.
There you go.
I need to know.
We'll do a live report this weekend from Comic-Con. So yeah, and I guess that's this is the pre-Motor City Comic-Con edition. We have survived this show that was awfully jam-packed. We will be there. I believe we're going over Thursday to set up. We're going to have a whole lot of our shows with us. We're going to have Activate Gaming and the portable gaming units with us. It's going to be a hell of a time. I forget our exact booth numbers. It's like 1527 and 16 something or other.
Nobody cares.
Which doesn't sound like it makes sense, but they are. It's an NCAP booth. Come find us. We're right by all the media guests. Love to have people come out, hang out, hop on a mic with us, tell us why you're there, all that fun stuff. And we'll probably be doing interviews and roaming around aimlessly. And as you heard, we're in charge of the nighttime festivities, which seems to be a thing with us and cons.
And drinking daytime festivities too. This is my last official weekend before Vegas of the bubbly. So we're going to take full advantage.
Okay.
So just announcing that.
Going to go all out, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so I should just extend the hotel stay through Sunday night, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Into Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm taking Monday off. Yeah.
All right, well, hey, we'll be at Motor City Comic-Con. They are at MotorCityComicCon.com. Get your tickets. Come on out. It's going to be a hell of an event. And then next Thursday, we will be down at Hopcat Detroit up in the Hoomer Room doing one of our casual networking events. And we're still trying to figure out when we're going to do the next Metro Detroit Podcaster Meetup. That was a great success.
3 months.
I don't think we need to wait 3 months, but I want to survive Comic-Con. I want to get set up in the new spot. And speaking of which, because we didn't really touch on that, if you guys haven't heard, didn't watch the site, weren't paying attention, yes, we are moving to a new building where we are expanding studio capacity, adding in the capacity for multiple shows to run simultaneously. We're not severing ties with where we are now. There's a short-term plan and a long-term plan, and the long-term plan is phenomenal, but the short-term plan gets us where we need to be.
Is it tremendous?
It's amazing.
It's super too.
It's super. Thanks for asking. But yeah, so this is probably going to be one of our last broadcasts from here in the studio that we've had home for a year, and that's the funny part is we made the announcement about the move to the new location 1 year to the day after we made the announcement that we were moving here, which I thought was insane. Like that's synchronicity for you. Yeah. Apparently May 6th is the day for us.
The Revenge of the 6th.
The Revenge of the 6th.
All right. Time to go.
Yep.
Drink up your drinks. You don't got to drink up your drinks. Get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you at Motor City Comic-Con. Drive careful. Beat it.
The emergency destruct system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Long live Flash. You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy.
Make the run. The run.
Game over, man. It's game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth. Ruth.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in the can.
Joe, own the truth.
Bear me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would like Buick put their cars next to like the Bentleys? Like, why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't take that position.
That analogy sucks because it's right.
Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up.
Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just like doing like stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city.
I was banging on the wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.